Hi, I'm Doug Boles, president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thank you for listening to Behind the Bricks. We're excited to bring you this exclusive and entertaining content about the world's greatest racetrack. Keep listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey race fans, Doug Boles with you here for another episode of Behind the Bricks. It is a chilly fall day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We wanted to talk a little bit about our grandstands and how they got named and some of the history of them. It's really interesting if you come to the Speedway and you start looking at our grandstands and you see that A is next to B, but B is next to E and C's all the way down there and there's no D. What's happened? I'm actually sitting in B stand right now. B stand was first constructed in 1910, so it was here before the first Indianapolis 500. And then when Tony Holland bought the Speedway, he and Wilbur Shaw, they had designs, and in 1954, they decided to renovate B stand. So this grandstand that you're sitting in is essentially 1954 with a little bit of renovation in 2003. But if you want to sit on wooden bleachers at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and go really old school, this is the place to do it. But we wanted to take you around the Speedway, talk to you about the four kind of construction eras related to grandstands. The first was those 1910 to call it 1914 era when grandstands first started coming here at the Speedway. And then post-World War II, after Tony Holland bought the Speedway, the construction that he really did between 1946 and even into the early 60s. And then we built all those great vistas around the Speedway. That was our third big construction. And the most recent one, Project 100, leading into the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 in 2016. So we're going to go around the Speedway, talk to you a little bit about some of those grandstands. Like I said, we're sitting in the second grandstand built, Grandstand B in 1910. The first one, Grandstand A in 1909. And you're probably figuring it out now. It was by the time that they were built and how they were named. A was first, then B, then C. We no longer have a D. We no longer have an F. We no longer have a K, L, L, South, M. All the first, second, and third inside bleachers, those are all gone. Today, about 21 named areas around the Speedway, but there have been over 30 grandstands specifically named in the Speedway. We're going to talk about those on this episode. So as they went through the alphabet progression and they got to G, in 1915, the G stand was put right here at the entry to turn 2. And then shortly after World War II, when Tony Holland bought the Speedway, they renovated G stand to the stand we have here. It was put here in 1946. It really is the oldest grandstand that's sort of standing you can hang out around. It's been renovated a couple times since, but this is as close as you can get to the race cars in a grandstand if you want to see them here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, going all the way back to 1915. So in addition to those grandstands, those lettered grandstands that really date back to the beginning of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there was that era where we needed lots of seats in great locations, and that's when the Vistas were born. The first one was Southwest Vista, and this was the second one. I'm standing here in the Northwest Vista, turn 4, some of the best seats in the house at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You get to see the front stretch, you can see everything going on here. And then behind me you see the North Vista and then the Northeast Vista. These massive grandstands were really built from the late 60s all the way up into the early 90s over a period of time. They've been renovated off and on over that period of time as well. But these vistas now are just as iconic at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as E Penthouse, B Penthouse, and the paddock along the front stretch. So the most recent seat addition or seat renovation at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is right here along the front stretch in what we called Project 100. We were getting ready for the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 in 2016 and wanted to redo the front stretch, but we also wanted to make sure it felt like the racetrack that people expected it to be, that history that makes it so special. I'm sitting in one of 3 brand new rows that are all the way down the front stretch in the paddock penthouse, A penthouse, B penthouse. These are about 2,000 new seats that were added for the 2016 Indianapolis 500. These are fantastic seats because you get an opportunity to see the entire front stretch. We raised the roof here in order to make sure that this row would get in here. And then all of those green seats. When you think of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you think of that steel construction and those green seats, those folding chairs that used to be here. These aren't those folding chairs, but they are green. So this was the most recent renovation that was done here at the Speedway, sort of the fourth element or fourth time period where we made big changes in the seating here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One of the other things we did, in addition to those seats we just talked about, is we built these ADA platforms for folks that needed the ability to get a wheelchair out here, needed some assistance to watch the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But to get here, we added 6 new elevators. For me, it was a really impactful moment. I knew it was important, but didn't know how important it was. until one of the practice days in 2016 up here talking to customers who'd never seen the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from this angle with tears in their eyes, and how powerful it was to celebrate the Indianapolis Motor Speedway like those of us that don't need assistance do. So this was really, really important. I hope you found this interesting, this Behind the Bricks, as we've talked about the weird way that we're lettered at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but our history that dates all the way back to that Grandstand A in 1909 that kicked it off, and the 235,000 seats that are here today. And you can be sitting in one of them for the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500. Get your tickets at IMS.com, and see you next time on Behind the Bricks. Thank you, fans, for listening to this episode of Behind the Bricks. We look forward to bringing you more exciting content about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway soon.